Hey interwebs, hey everybody, this is just a quick 5-minute video, and I'm going to cover just patents in it a little bit, not patents themselves, because, well, I guess kind of patents themselves, but so there's a few things. First thing is patents are kind of stupid. I mean, the whole patent system's broken. We did our patent in the US, because that's really the only one that's worth doing and is recognised. But we did our patent just for defensive purposes. Now our patent covers a bunch of stuff, and I probably can't legally go into details. But the people that filed the patent tried to keep it as vague as possible, and that was just to kind of protect us. And I wanted to put as much engineering detail in as possible, and that was to protect future people that want to develop off it, so that they were able to see what was available in the patent. Because basically the rule of the patent is people are supposed to be able to reproduce afterwards. Anyway, so that was a little bit frustrating. And then the other thing that was a bit frustrating was the process. I mean, it all happened within a space of about 2 or 3 weeks, because we basically needed to get it through fast. So we basically gave this company $5,000, and their job was to get the patent through, and I had to draft it all up, and I knew that I had to write it all up. So I did like 4 or 5 days solid research, how to write patents, looking at reference documents, and finding loads and loads of materials that I could use to figure out how to structure a patent. And it turns out there isn't like one set way of doing it. There are some really bad patents, which are like a couple of paragraphs that you just cannot believe have ever been passed and granted. And shame on the people that have passed those patents. You're an absolute disgrace to the tech industry. It's a bit harsh, but I think it's true, because they're so vague that they could cover so many different things that you could really find. You could really find a lot of patent trolls popping up, or patent trolls popping up. So yeah, we gave this company $5,000, and they asked us to send the documentation through. So I wrote it all out and sent it all through. And give me a couple of minutes. And what that basically meant was, when I sent it through to them, they were like, "Oh, you weren't supposed to have got a solicitor to write it." And I was like, "No, I didn't get a solicitor to write it. I wrote it myself." And they were like, "Oh, well, you're going to get some of the money back that we owe you now." And I was like, "Oh, right, well, that sounds nice." But I didn't realise that I had to spend so much time researching. And I've got no beef with doing the work myself. I mean, I quite like being self-sufficient and everything, but it would have just been a little nicer if I'd have known exactly the format they wanted it in and stuff. And this is no discredit to them. I should have probably asked exactly what they wanted. And I probably might have jumped the gun a little bit by spending so much time researching and making sure that I did it right. I guess I used to just people sending in sketches and like ideas of what they want, but obviously because we'd solved the engineering problems before, we knew exactly what we were doing. So yeah, that was a little frustrating. But anyway, in 3 weeks to get a patent through, so that's pretty fast. So we send the patent through, and we're working on some software that uses revision control, like versioning, so version control. There's a few options available. There's Google Docs, there's Etherpad, and we settled on Etherpad for doing the documents, so for drafting it all and everything. And the reason that we settled on Etherpad was because it's really accessible. You don't have to have an account to access it, and it works cross-browser. Except we were all working away fine. There's like 4 or 5 of us working away, just reviewing this document, doing edits. Everybody's been able to see how the documents evolved. Except until one guy came along and went, "Oh, our office don't use Etherpad." And we were like, "Alright, we only use Microsoft Word." And I was like, "Well, I'm not willing to accept Microsoft Word changes. I'm not going to accept that." But the problem was that this guy was doing the final draft. He was basically the guy that was turning in a coherent English talk, which me or you might use, into basically legal babble, removing all of the details and just adding vagueness. And that, to use a strong word, that pissed me off. Because I just feel like law should be common and coherent and be able to be understood by mere mortals. And then when legal jargon comes in, yeah, it might be legally correct, but if it doesn't make any sense to the person that's reading it, then there's no point of a patent or a patent. It's just, yeah, it kind of annoyed me anyway. But so we had this document anyway, so we're working around it. Like another 4 or 5 hours go by, and then all of a sudden he sends for a Microsoft Word document that's like 4 hours behind from our version control, but it's got all of his changes in. So we have to essentially butcher this Microsoft Word document in. Anyway, this is like, I get this email 30 minutes before I'm due to go out, and so I reply to him saying, no, I'm just not willing to do this. You're gonna have to do it yourself. And he's like, nope, my office don't do it. So I'm like, shit. And he says, oh, and by the way, you've got 2 hours to get the rest of this application. And now I was due out for dinner with my girlfriend, and because I'm going off to China, this is like the last opportunity that I get to see her. So I'm like pretty mad at this point, thinking, crap, not gonna have time to do it, and this guy needs it like straight away. If I don't get it done now, we won't have the patent application until I'm back from China. And as just me and Tanya on this project, it's kind of difficult because we can't just like offload it to somebody else. This shit has to get done, else we end up being vulnerable, or could cripple our business model just because some guy don't want to use the appropriate web-based tools, and because Microsoft products are fucking terrible, like really bad. If you're still using them, you're an idiot. Honestly, like he was using Internet Explorer. I mean, come on, guys. If you're watching this video, you probably don't use Internet Explorer, but if you are watching this video and you're still using Internet Explorer, what the deuce? Come on, sort that out. But anyway, so I have 30 minutes left to finish this document. I've got like an hour's worth of butchering to do. It's like a 12-page document. It's all in legal mumble jumble. I don't really understand it. It's not easy for me to put it in. But what did happen, and bless this guy, there's a guy called Kyle that works with the company that we're on, and he was CC'd in all the emails back and forth, and he could tell. I mean, you could tell by my use of language that I was getting a little bit irate. I wasn't being aggressive, but I was being firm but fair. I was putting the case forward for why version control on these types of documents is just so important, and that you'd have expected a legal company to have acknowledged that, a company that works with law. And by the way, this guy works in the same office as all the other people that I was working with, right? He's one of the 5 people. The other 4 were using Etherpad absolutely fine. So anyway, so we this 30 minutes is up, and basically this guy called Kyle drops me through an email, a little message saying, I know this is a pain for you, I'll jump on and I'll help you with it. So the hour's worth of work that I had done, I managed to get done in 30 minutes, or about 25 minutes, and so we were able to get the application in before I went off for dinner, and then the guy who wasn't willing to use version control did get the application in. So that's the news. This probably won't go on the NFC Ring blog because it's more of a personal rant, but stop using Microsoft products, start using version control, don't be a douche when it comes to writing patents, and don't be a patent troll.